What do people, creative people, do when the whole world shuts down? Create, of course. Today, I gather with a group of creative people as they explain what keeps them creating in a crisis. I'm Antoine Beane. This is Go Creator Go. Let's do it. Hey everybody, this is Antoine Beane and welcome to another edition of Go Creator Go. Thank you guys so much for your support and listening to the show. It is an honor to be here. It is an honor to serve you guys here on the podcast, and thank y'all again for joining us for episode 3 of this amazing series. It has been an amazing ride so far, and I cannot wait to tell you about today's episode. Of course, you heard in the intro there, we are in a crisis. We are in a situation where things are looking really weird. And, we got companies shut down. We have nations that are shut down. We have cities that are contemplating of should we reopen as if they're a storefront or something. It's really interesting yet exciting time to be a believer because, first of all, your faith is totally being stretched, totally being exercised. This is where the rubber meets the road, gang. When it comes to prayer and supplication and really believing God and what is for us, this is the time to really press in. And as a creative person, my biggest concern has always been when for me as a creative person, whenever I ran into a situation or a trial or a challenge, keeping my creative flow in check, keeping my perspective going when it comes to creativity. And I have a group of people that, in my opinion, are some of the most creative people I've ever met. And that's no smoke. That is for real. That is the reason why I had to put them in this episode. One of them is a little bit biased, but you'll see why. Destiny laughing at me. And you'll see why. But these are some creative people from a creative industry that is really being affected right now because of this crisis. And I'm talking about the beauty, fashion, and hair industry. I'm talking about stylists. I'm talking about lash techs. I'm talking about colorists. I'm talking about overall stylists, salon owners, and things like that. How are they dealing with this? Open today, close tomorrow, literally has happened to them. And not only that, it's as if, and this is me speaking, it's as if the system is literally playing games with them and their livelihood. We're hearing about people getting arrested on the news for opening up their salons and not closing and things like that. And people are doing all these creative ways of maintaining their appearance during this crisis and doing that because they're not able to go to salons. And we're going to talk about that as we talk to these creative people. Joining me here on Go Creator Go for this edition are 3 incredible creators. First and foremost is our master colorist, Destiny Cox. She is the administrator of DCI International. It is a school, believe it or not, for our creative stylists and instructors and things like that. She'll get more into that as we introduce her. Prophet, the man of God, Gereau Pearson is on our show today. He is a Jackson, Tennessee native. He is a stylist. He is the man is a jack of all trades when it comes to beauty and hair. The man can lay some hair. He is incredible. And not only that, he can preach the paint off the walls. The man knows God. He is the Lord's hairstylist. He really is. So bless him. And last but certainly not least, is Roshotta Beane, owner of Crown Culture Salon or Spalon, because she has all of the features of a spa in her salon, and the last name may sound a little familiar. She is my wife. She is my wife. Hey, sweetheart. She is my wife, and she is one of my biggest inspirations next to the Lord Jesus Christ himself. She is my wheel within he's the wheel within a wheel, but she's my center. God bless her. So, yeah, we're going to talk to her as well. Yeah, we're going to talk to her in a minute, but I want you guys to talk to us and talk to our audience and tell them your story. We'll start with Destiny first. Master colorist Destiny Cox.
All right. So definitely when I think about how I started, it was me walking into my destiny, I guess. I was about 14 years old, and I remember my grandmother stating, did you do your own hair? She was looking at me from afar, and if you know anything about grandmothers, man, grandmothers were the word is born.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Whatever they say it was, whatever they say you
it's
could
the
do,
law.
you believe you could do it. You believe that you could do it. Yeah. So she looked from the side, and I even remember what was on. Like, Ask the World. No, it was like All My Children or something. And she was looking at me, and instantly I was like, what did I do? So I'm trying to remember, what did I do? And she was looking at me, and she said, did you do your own hair? And I said, yes. And she said, wow, you're going to make a lot of money one day. And just turned around and started back doing whatever she was doing. I was like, okay. And she never spoke of it again. The next day, I got a phone call from a friend. And we're still in high school. She said, can you do my hair? And I was like, yeah. And that was my first $10. And I've been making money through the beauty industry ever since. And I didn't realize until maybe 15, 16 years later that she positioned that. She called that into my life, and it has been everything from that moment. I've never taken it for granted from there.
That is amazing. That's an awesome testimony.
It is. And all that you see, all that you do comes from that moment. You have to believe it, You have to believe it. And she's always been a motivation for me.
Would you say she is like your key inspiration of all of your career, as you go further in what you do, or is she part of the foundation, I guess, of it?
She's the foundation, because of course I've learned more, and I've learned to depend more on God, and I've learned who He is. And even from learning lessons of, she was a great model of looking at her and seeing what she put before the kids, So she was a great foundation. And in the beginning, it was always a motivation. You didn't want to disappoint, but didn't know that it was going to turn into a setup. And so the setup, it went from practicing the craft of, hair and cosmetology at home, into going to high school and having those mentors, getting the license in high school, and from there being dared to teach. And that was a setup, and it was over with from there, And so with my grandmother, God, and determination that what I saw in the vision, that I was going to actually experience it and see it, that was really the push.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, Prophet Gary, your situation is a little different, of course, but I know that with you have a lot of facets going on with what you do. Like you got there are a lot of, how would you say, a lot of divisions of what you do. I know Destiny has the doing hair, and then she's a master colorist, and then of course now she's an administrator. But you're more, you really have a hands-on approach when it comes to your style. Tell me about your story, man.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's such an honor. But yeah, actually, let me first start off with the beauty industry. I got into that on accident.
Oh, wow.
I didn't like hair was not even a part of my mind at all.
Wow.
I was the type of person, I did not like high school. So I took cosmetology in the 9th grade for extra credit. I wasn't taking the class because this is something I want to make a career out of it. A lot of people don't know, but I was going to a school of optometry. I was fascinated with optometry. That's what I was fascinated with. So, right, totally left. So I took the class. I got involved in that for the extra credit. Long story short, maybe after a year, I started developing a passion for this industry. And then after that, I was introduced to a hair show. I didn't know anything about a hair show. I started seeing other men. Shout out to some old legends like Luke Willie, Cool C, all the old school heads. And I got a chance to see those men in a lot of hair books, and that really motivated me. It was like, I don't know what they're doing, how they got involved in this industry, but I know I have to be a part of it.
Wow.
So that's how I walked into the beauty industry by accident. But I love it.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, of course, like I said earlier, you're not only a stylist, but you also a preacher and a prophet. So how did that happen? How did that incorporate into your overall plan with what you do in business? How did were they around the same time? How did they intersect there?
Well, me answering the call of God on my life came on maybe a couple of years after that. I always knew that the hand of the Lord was on me. I always knew that I had a calling on my life, but I wasn't in no hurry of trying to say yes. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm still young. And I was like, listen, let me go turn up with everybody else too. So I wanted to go and do my own thing. And years later, I just decided to just be like, you know what, Negro, you got to just tell the Lord yes.
Come on
and accept your calling. And so I did that while I was in hair school in Nashville. I went to hair school to the International Barber and Style College in Nashville. So while I was in school, I accepted my calling into the ministry. And I think like 3 months of me accepting that call to the ministry, I moved back home and finished in Jackson.
Wow.
And I just tied, I just recently, we can kind of talk about that later, but I recently just realized that it's okay to merge who I am in the kingdom and who I am in the marketplace and merge them together.
Yes. Yeah. And Prophet Gary is part of Destiny Church in Jackson, Tennessee, led by Pastor Rhonda Pettigrew, and she is incredible. If you know, if you are anywhere in the Jackson, Tennessee area, or you can look her up on YouTube, look up Destiny Church on YouTube. Man, I'm telling you, the woman is amazing. She knows that word. I mean, she knows it. She eats it. She drinks it. Pastor Rhonda knows the word. As a matter of fact, she was just given an honorary doctorate from Yale University.
Yes, woo woo.
Man,
yes, she was. We're so proud of her.
Oh man, she's an amazing woman of God. Her and her husband are incredible people. They are incredible people. So that's awesome. And last but certainly not least, my amazing, beautiful, astonishing wife. Roshotta's not paying me to say that. That is the Roshotta Beane. Roshotta, sweetie, tell us your story, sweetie.
Oh wow! Thank you once again for having me on the show. Especially with these amazing people, Ms. Cox and Prophet Gary. Just it's an honor. But I pretty much started life with Destiny. My grandmother raised me, and my grandmother taught me how to press and color hair at a very, very young age, at the age of 8. And so even though I ran from it, I didn't want to do it. She was like, well, you going to do it, And she saw that I had a niche for it. She said, she instilled in me, even at a very, very young age. She said, baby, you learn how to do hair and nails, you'll never be broke. And so I took that kept it. And 30-some years later, I've never been broke. And just this industry has just been so amazing. it's something new every time you look around. It's so many different phases of this industry. I've been licensed for almost 18 years now, and I'm actually a salon owner now.
Right.
So it's been a blessing. I'm excited for what's to come, moving forward with doing more instruction and curriculum in the future, and not just being behind the chair. So I'm just excited for what's about to take place.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Roshotta has an amazing story anyway. Just as a business owner and as a even a mentor to the people that work with her at her salon. It's incredible. And if you get the chance, go to Facebook and see. Okay, shifting gears now. So I got to say this. One thing that I notice about the three of y'all is that I can totally see God's hand interweaving all of y'all's purposes. Like when I heard Prophet Gary speaking, I immediately thought about Jacob and when he was fleeing from Esau, and when he went to Palil and laid his head on the rock, and then he saw in the middle of the night, he had the vision of the ladder and the angels ascending and descending, and he saw, and he changed the name of the place to Bethel and realized that this was the land he had to come back to. He knew right then and there that this is where he's supposed to be. When Prophet Gary was going to be an optometrist, on the way, God showed him, no, this is where you need to be at. This is where I want you. This is where I'm going to plant you. So it literally, the footsteps of Jacob are all on this man of God's life. Then I turn around and see Destiny. Her vision, her purpose was birthed through the gift of prophecy, the spirit of prophecy. The woman of God literally said, this is what you're doing. You're going to make a lot of money on this. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And just literally decreed and declared a purpose on her granddaughter, and just opened up a whole nother door for Destiny. And then I see my wife, where she received a mantle, as just like Elijah, where he passes the mantle on from what she had to now what Roshotta has. And then she got a double portion because, her grandmother didn't have a salon. Her grandmother didn't travel. Her grandmother didn't do any of that. So it's incredible to see God's hand on y'all's careers like that. That is incredible. I mean, only God could tell stories like that, weave a story like that. Only he could do that. And so with that said, it brings me to where we are today in this current crisis, and pretty much your industry being attacked, and me personally, I always look at the spiritual implication of things first, before I see it in the natural. God, what are you saying here? What are you doing? What's the point of this? And as a creative person, and as a person that wants to express gifting, like, Lord, how can I make my gift work here? For your people? How can it be a service to people? And in your instances, it's as if you're being denied that access to do your gift in this situation. So how do you guys, what do you do here? Like, as your industry is a very fast moving, multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry, and it's basically on hold right now, creatively. How do you guys keep this going?
I would say we've been preparing for a long time. Mm-hmm. We knew that the transition was coming, and when you're always in a place of preparation and you've already set some things up, I honestly have not stressed personally, because I was always in a place of transition and having things in place before time. Now, creativity-wise, there are some people that say, hey, I just need to get my hands in something, get back to work. And with those people, you have to adapt. So you can measure your circumstances. What do you have going on around you? What can you do? You never sit there and sit still. It's always, what can I do with what I have right now?
That's good stuff. Yeah, because, the word says, greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. So he's already put in us what we have. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, he's given us the power to get wealth, So yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. So, but Prophet Gary, you're in another city altogether. Like Jackson, Tennessee is, it's a up and coming city. Like it's a city on the move. So
right.
Did this situation kind of stifle that growth, and did it affect you in any kind of way?
Well, let me tell you, it did kind of, like this just kind of said, I've always been a person that was creative and prepared.
Yes.
But COVID this crisis kind of showed up like an off guard punch for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I never was fearful, but it did kind of shake me just a little bit. And I think what it actually really did, the only thing it did just kind of shook me back to some creative ideas that I started and never did finish.
Oh,
So I think as, just as kingdom entrepreneurs and creative, that this was an opportunity for us to reach within us again. Like reach for the things in you again and start creating and building. And I think it was just another level of realignment for all of creative.
Absolutely. Like almost hitting the reset button, really.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and in so many words, it's just like my wife and I, we talk about this all the time. Like it literally, for many, it actually ended up being a blessing to most folks because, if you're busy doing something, especially something you don't really enjoy, you're just kind of going through the motions and the flow of it. Because I remember my wife was doing like 12, 14-hour days on average.
Yes.
Like literally 12, 14-hour days. My wife would come home and crash in the bed. Sometimes my wife would fall asleep fully dressed, like just going, she just walk in the door. She would literally walk in the door, drop her purse, and flop in the bed. And it's 2 hours, it's 3 hours later, and I'm like,
I get it.
Oh my God, she's still, she's gone.
But you know what? I want to jump in right there. I remember, and just like Gary and Destiny said, talking about preparation. It did shake me when I literally had to close the salon.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I started to get some blessings from some clients. And I think one day I just literally started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced this. Even when we had a recession, they say back with 9/11 and probably 12 years ago, I still never experienced where I had to literally close shop.
Right.
So it literally, like they say, it shook us, but I learned a long time ago that preparation time is never wasted time. So we prepared some things, and God has given us some things. But I remember even speaking to you, babe, saying, like, if I just could have 2 weeks off from the salon just to finish my book, I'll be good.
Yep.
And you got to be ready for what you ask for, because it's been way more than 2 weeks. But during this time, God has allowed so many things, and He's given me strategies and just a blueprint for a lot of things to get done. And it was so much that had been laying dormant that God had just allowed to just come forth and be birthed. So I'm just excited about that part as well. I still have been able to be creative, with doing creating content, creating wigs for clients, creating courses. So this has been a time where I could just be still and rest and hear from God on what exactly He's wanting me to do in the next. So
what have you guys been doing to keep your creative fire going? Because the Bible talks about it's not wise for us to lose our spiritual fervor, to keep our fire hot, So what exactly are you guys doing in this time to keep this going? Even not just spiritually, but also with your gifts.
Yeah. Wow. I'll jump in right here. I love this